are live! What's going on? We're in the studio. This is the Ask a Swim Pro show. What's going on? My name is Faris Sabeti, CEO of My Swim Pro. I am joined by...
My name is Paige Walters. I'm the marketing director here at My Swim Pro.
And as you can see, we are in the studio, and on today's episode of the Ask a Swim Pro show, we are talking about how to make a swimming comeback. This is pretty insane. First of all, what is a swimming comeback?
You're asking me?
Yes, I'm asking you. What do you? And if you had to describe it, like if someone's saying, "I am making a swimming comeback,"
so
like what are they talking about?
If you have taken any time off of swimming, whether it's 1 week, 1 month, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, a comeback means you are getting back in the pool, you're getting your feet wet, and you're coming back to the sport of swimming. And we want to make sure that while we're talking about this, you don't have to commit to being an Olympian to make a comeback, right? So even if you commit to swimming 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, or you want to start competing again and get back into the circuit, we're going to help you do that. So today we're talking about tips about if you take some time off in swimming, here's how you can get back into the sport. So what we're going to do is while we are kind of going through our tips, if you have questions for us, leave them in the comments either on Instagram or Facebook. We will answer them live, or we can follow up afterwards and answer them in the comments.
I see we have a few of our friends joining on Facebook as well as Instagram. So right now I see Michael and Brian Young. What's going on? Welcome to the Ask a Swim Pro show. So one of the things you talked about, we're talking about making a swimming comeback. These are people who, like we swam growing up. They swam on their summer league team, on their high school team. Maybe they swam on a club team or something like that. And then they took a break away from swimming because either they got burned out, maybe they swim in college, and swimming in college is really difficult. And a lot of people are just fed up with swimming. They don't want to have anything to do with it after they're done with their career collegiately. And so they take, 5 years off, 10 years off, maybe 20 years away from the water, and they find themselves age 30, 40, 50, and they want to get back into the water. What do you think are some reasons people have that itch to get back in after 30 years, potentially 3 decades off of the water?
There's a lot of reasons. One is I think a lot of people miss their swimming community, so maybe they want to get back into it to make some new friends, or they just moved to a new city and they need to find a new circle, a new social network. So getting back into it for friends, maybe they want to reach a goal. So whether that is to compete at nationals, at Masters Nationals, or to compete in a triathlon, or whether it's just to lose 10 pounds, or they want to get back into shape or improve their endurance. So whatever your personal goal is, swimming has a wide range of opportunities where you can do that. I think another idea is sometimes people experience an injury, or maybe you're a runner and you've been a runner or a cyclist your whole life, and you all of a sudden have bad knees, or you have something that is prohibiting you from running a lot. Swimming is a really great outlet to still get great exercise, especially in your older years when it's very easy on your joints, it's easy to get a good swim in, and it's relaxing. What else?
One of the reasons a lot of people take a break from swimming, it's not because they don't want to keep swimming, it's because their schedule just doesn't really allow it. Like, you go to college and then you get a job and then you move around, or you get married and you have a family, and all of a sudden swimming takes a back seat. So what we've actually seen just through the My Swim Pro network, a lot of people are getting back into swimming because now they have the time and they're able to allocate that time to actually go to a workout 2 or 3 times a week. Another huge misconception that we want to get off the table is how often you need to swim to get a lot out of it. Like some people think, if you grew up on a team, you think, I have to swim like 2.5 hours every single day if I want to be any good at it anymore. And that's not true.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to swim 2.5 hours every single day.
I'm still kind of burnt out by that. I grew up as a kid swimming a lot, and it's hard to, I think it's also hard when you grew up doing that at a competitive level to be okay with the fact that you're not as fast as you were as a kid too. And it's okay to not do 2 days every day, and to kind of accept that your body's different. Maybe you're in your 50s, you're not you could swim faster than you were when you were in high school or college, but when you're getting back into it, it's totally okay if you're not swimming as hard or as fast as you used to do. And I think that's a learning process with any athlete, is that your body is changing and your lifestyle changes. So
and if you do want to be very competitive, we're not saying it doesn't matter how fast you are. It really doesn't matter how fast you are. But if you do want to be really competitive, we've actually had some guests on this show, the Ask a Swim Pro show, who are still super competitive into their 40s and beyond. Steve West comes to mind, Erica Braun. We've had these athletes on the show, and into their 40s, they are competing at a very high level and going times that were competitive to their college days. So if you do want to be competitive, there is still hope for you. Don't think that just because you're past 25, you're out of your prime. And you can also train a lot smarter today. So maybe, Paige, let's talk about different things people are doing beyond just swimming back and forth when they're making their comeback. It's not just a swimming comeback. What are some things people are doing?
Yeah, so what I've seen, number one is when you're an adult, you have to kind of set out and make your own goal. So you're not committed to a coach or a team that's telling you, all right, this is what we're doing. Here are the competitions we're doing this season. There's this big state meet or whatever that final competition is. So definitely set a goal. And with that, to get to your goal, you need to, put together a plan or some steps of how you're going to get there. So make a small commitment, start small, work up to it. Whether it's just get back in the pool twice a week and then build up on that. And so I think what I've seen in my friends is that people don't really commit to something and really get back into their training unless they're committed to a competition or that 10 pounds they want to lose. So I guess how would you recommend, let's say you set a goal of you want to compete again and you haven't competed in 40 years.
Woo!
What do you do?
Welcome back to the sport of swimming. Okay, before I answer that, let's rewind a little bit. So some other things that people do, not just getting back into swimming, that adding strength training, focusing on nutrition, right? So we're going to talk about things you can do to do the actual comeback, but just keep in mind, it's not all about swimming. Maybe you're into doing triathlons and now you're on a more multi-sport perspective and you're doing a little bit of running, a little bit of biking, a little bit of strength training. We have an awesome video on strength training in dryland that you should definitely check out. So it could be yoga, it could be meditation. So when people are doing these comebacks, normally there's some kind of a life event or goal that Paige talked about that's really pushing them, but it's not just swimming. So don't think if you were only a competitive swimmer and you take 20 years off and you're trying to make a comeback, you have to only do swimming. You can do swimming once or twice a week and add yoga, add meditation, add some strength training, focus on your nutrition, go walking.
Yeah.
You can just go walking.
What I've discovered I'm only 27, so I'm not too far removed from college, but I feel like I have this old man strength now where you're a lot stronger in the water than you actually think you are. So, and as I took time off swimming, I did CrossFit, I ran, I've done yoga, I also play water polo, but doing other sports, you still have that strength and you have that endurance in a different form, and so you don't have to be in 100% swimming shape to feel great in the water. You'll be surprised, once you get back in the water after a couple of days, you have this new strength that you didn't have when you were a kid or when you were 20 years old.
Yeah. And from a training perspective, your body adapts. So when I was swimming in college, we were used to doing 6,000 to 8,000 yards per workout, or meters for our folks outside the U.S. And so when you're doing 7,000 meters per day, your body gets used to that. And then all of a sudden, if you start doing 2,000 per day, or 1,500 per day, or every other day, all of a sudden you feel a little goofy, but then your body adapts to that. And you can swim nearly as fast as you could doing 7,000 a day as you are when you're only doing 1,500 every other day, because you have this old man strength that kicks in because you're not actually training as much, and your body had a foundation, whether you're doing 4,000 per day or 7,000 per day, and that old man strength really does kick in. I feel it every time I put paddles on. Adam Oxner giving you a call out. I like my paddles. So let's jump ahead where we were talking about how you actually do this comeback. So I think number one is a goal. You have to set a goal for you, and you want to set a SMART goal. So a SMART goal is something that is attainable and measurable, and it's time bound. So a good goal wouldn't be, I want to go swimming more. It's I want to swim 1 time per week for at least 8 weeks in a row, and eventually build up to doing 1,000 meters in the workout, right? So that's something that's measurable, it's time bound, something you can take action on, and you have a plan to do it. So number 1 is set a SMART goal. And like in the My Swim Pro application, we help you do that by giving you a training plan that has the goal pretty much established. So whether your goal is to do a 6-week training program that focuses on building you up to a 1,500 meter swim at the end of 3 workouts per week, that's a training plan that's available. Whether it's an 8-week endurance plan that builds up to like a 3,000 meter workout, that's another plan, another goal. So whatever it is, set a goal, be smart with it, and don't set something that's an unrealistic expectation. So, if you were a former collegiate swimmer, it wouldn't be smart 20 years later to say, I'm going to qualify for the Olympic trials in the next quad. So in 2 years, in 2020, I'm going to the Olympic trials. And even if you had a time that would have qualified, that's not realistic, because you need to set something more short term that's attainable, that you can achieve in a shorter period of time. So that's number 1. Any other tips on goal setting, picking the right goal for yourself?
I think just keep it small. I think also, like, if you're pretty new to the getting back into swimming, commit to something that's like 1 month. And you don't have to commit to like a full year plan or 6 months.
Shorter.
A short timeline is really helpful.
Shorter plan. The next thing you want to do after you set your goal and you have a training plan, step 2 is to get an accountability buddy or group or groups of people. And the idea of having this accountability system is so that people can support you in pursuing this goal. So your job is to not only set the goal for yourself, but next you want to recruit a group of people that can help you get there. And they can help you in a number of ways. It could just be motivation and the fact that you have accountability, that they know that you're actually trying to achieve something and you want to be accountable to someone. Another way is maybe it's a swimming buddy. Swimming can be really boring if you're on your own. And if you have someone that you set a goal with and both of you are doing a training plan together, that can help you in accomplishing that, because you have someone to do it with, and that can make all the difference. Any other points on that?
Oh, totally. And if you're using the My Swim Pro app, what we found a lot of people are doing is they join a local swim club or a master's club, and maybe they just do 1 or 2 days a week with their friends with the club, and then they supplement 2 or 3 other days of the week on their own. And that gives you a really good way to like practice for 2 or 3 days and on your own, and then when you show up to master's practice, you get to kind of race people, and you get that competitive edge, and you're going to push each other, and that's really going to help you stay accountable and make sure you get a great workout in.
Henry Miles just joined the Facebook Live. What up, Henry? All right, so step 1, we're talking about how to make a swimming comeback. So step 1 is set a goal for yourself, have a training plan that can help you get there. And step 2 is find an accountability group, accountability buddy, a swim buddy. Maybe it's the My Swim Pro Facebook group where we have people from 50 different countries sharing their workouts and their stories. It's incredible. Social media can be even a way that you can find this accountability group, or even people at your local pool. Different ways that you can find that motivation and accountability. And I would say step number 3 in your swimming comeback is to track and measure your progress. So it could be as simple as check that you actually went swimming for the day. So the My Swim Pro app has a quick log function. You swam 1,500 meters, and check, we did that. Good job. It could be something more complicated where you're actually following one of the training plans, or you're writing in a structured workout. Maybe you're doing it on your Apple Watch or your Garmin, and this allows you to automatically track the workout. And then over time, you can see your progress towards your goal. So maybe you have a goal of swimming 10,000 meters per week. You want to swim 3 or 4 times, or maybe 10,000 meters per month. Having a way to track that gives you additional accountability, and it's sort of like a never-ending circle where you set the goal, you have accountability partners, and then you track it, and then you start back over. Okay, did I meet my goal? Now I can adjust it and make improvements and enhancements and set another goal, a new goal. One of the biggest times of the year that we see people do this is around the new year. So you might be thinking in the back of your head, okay, 2019 is coming up. I want to set a really good goal for myself. I want to get back into swimming. Make sure you set a specific goal. So it's not, I just want to get into swimming. I want to get back to swimming 2 times per week for 1,000 meters. You know, I saw the My Swim Pro 8-week speed plan, and I want to get my 100 freestyle faster. I'm setting a measurable goal, and I want to get faster in my 100 freestyle, and I'm going to compete in a competition in the middle of March, and that's going to be my test, and I have something to work towards. And I'm going to join the My Swim Pro community group, which will link in the description, and then you have all these people who know about your goal, and they can help encourage you and push you towards achieving that goal.
Yeah. No.
Only 3 steps. It's not. I mean, we say it's easier said than done, for sure. But if you're looking to make a swimming comeback, kind of if we summarize it here, three steps. Pretty basic. Step number 1: set a goal, a SMART goal, so that it's measurable, time-bound, attainable, something that you can achieve, that you know you can achieve if you set your mind to it. Step 2: find an accountability buddy, a group of people, a swim lane mate, master's group, whatever it is, the My Swim Pro training plans, whatever you pick, find a way to keep you accountable. And step 3, track your progress and then share, and then start that whole process over again and see if you meet your goal, find accountability buddy, and then track your progress. So
cool.
Step 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, so we got some people, we asked on Instagram Live, you guys are telling us what your tips are.
Ooh.
So thank you.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, so we have Victoria. She just says, just start training again. So get in the pool, and once you're mentally ready, your body will follow.
Wow.
And I love that. And so I think what's also important that we haven't really touched on is how to get back into it and avoid injuries.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Let's go there. Yeah. Injury.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to make sure you don't jump into things too quickly. There's a rule of thumb for swimming volume, actually. You know, if you were to do running, you wouldn't go and run a marathon on your first day, right? Or even a 10K. You would gradually build up. Swimming is very similar, and because swimming is low impact, sometimes people think they can jump into it a little bit more aggressively because you're not, actively wearing down your body. But that's actually not true. Swimming, you can break down your body a lot, and you can make, because there might be certain muscle imbalances in your body, you can hurt your shoulders and knees and lower back and things like that if you jump into it too quick. So the key is to set that SMART goal, so that's something that you can attain without hurting yourself. So normally, I always tell people, do like half what you think you're going to do.
Yeah.
So if your goal is, okay, I'm going to swim 2,000 meters, you know what? Maybe 1,000 is good to start with, and then you can ramp up from there, because this is a long-term journey. You don't need to achieve anything in 1 week or 1 month or even 1 year.
Yeah.
So because you have a long-term horizon, you don't have to make a short-term decision that can sacrifice your overall well-being. So don't make an assumption that you're going to be able to do a lot more than you might be able to handle. And then the other rule of thumb for increasing your volume, as like the more you swim, the more you do. A good rule of thumb is not to do more than 10 to 20% increase per week. In other words, if you have a goal of doing 5,000 in a week, so maybe you swim 2,000, 2,000, 1,000, the next week you can't do more than 6,000, because that would be a 20% increase. So it wouldn't make sense to go 5,000 1 week, and then 10,000 the next week, and then 15,000 the following week. Eventually you're going to break down, and some part of your body's going to fall apart. So 10 to 20% increase per week at the most, and that'll give you the best chance for reducing your risk of injury. You should also consider different dryland training exercises. We have an awesome video that I mentioned that will also link that has different ways that you can strengthen your body out of the water, so that way as you're ramping up your volume in the water, you're not going to set yourself up for injury.
Yeah. So we have a question from Instagram saying, what if you're not convinced that you can't do it? What should you do? What if you are convinced that you can't do it? This is by M. Rimawi.
I believe in you. I believe you can do it. You have to believe. You have to dig deep.
Yeah. So I want to give a little shout out to my mom. My mom is in her 60s. She swam in high school. She swam in college. She has not swam. She's, loved the water, loved the ocean, grew up in Florida. She has not swum laps in over, 30 years or so. And I think she kind of had that mentality. And we have a lot of people at that are using My Swim Pro that they haven't been in the water in a long time. And I just want to make sure that people remember that just you going and getting in the pool, that's progress, right? That's a step. you don't have to hold yourself accountable to being as fast as you were back in the day, or you don't even have to be able to like do a flip turn and swim a real stroke. Like, just you going and just try it out. Like, if it's the winter where you are and it's cold, go on a cold day, go to your local pool and just kind of jump in. You don't even need a swim cap or goggles. Like, get used to being back in the water. You're going to feel really good, and just kind of like float back and forth. Do some breaststroke without a swim cap. Like, it doesn't need to be this official thing. I think once you recognize how good you feel in the water, it's kind of natural for you to want to keep swimming. So basically, like, shout out to my mom. She recently, for World Swim Day, she got back in the pool and swam laps for the first time in like over 20 years, which is really cool. And now she's been swimming probably like once a week, and she's feeling really good. So yeah, a lot of it is just, you have to remind yourself that like any progress is progress. So even if you don't think that you can swim a whole workout, at least just go swim for 10 minutes and then float around.
Not even 10 minutes. Just get in the water. Yeah. I always tell people, don't think you need to swim any distance at all. If you just get in the water, that's a checkbox. Mm-hmm. If you get in the water and then swim to the other end of the pool, that's another checkbox. Everything else is just icing on the cake. But the fact that you got up and you made it to the pool and you got in the water, that is 99% of it. Anything you do more in terms of how far you swim, just icing on the cake with a cherry on top.
Yeah. I think what's also funny while we're talking about, like, those of you that have taken over 20 or 30 years off, swimming is very different now. And so, like, Patty, our ambassador, was talking about how she never competed with goggles before. And like my mom, when she grew up swimming, there were no touch pads. Everyone had a stopwatch, and that's how you recorded your official time. And now there's an app for swimming. Now there's the amazing swimwear. There's better goggles. There's better swim caps. If you are feeling embarrassed about being in a swimsuit, I promise you there are so many nice new swimsuits out in the market these days compared to 30 years ago. And there's better goggles. Like, the swimming experience is really comfortable these days.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Yeah, with the goggles, the caps, there's way more conservative swimsuits available for all different kinds of people. So definitely check all those out. But I think that's all we have time for on today's episode of Ask a Swim Pro. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully you can take away some of those tips on your swimming comeback. Or if you're already in the water, maybe you can share some of these tips with one of your friends who is thinking about making a swimming comeback. We can definitely enjoy more people in the sport of swimming because it is the greatest sport in the world. We're slightly biased.
Yeah, so join our Facebook group and share with us photos of you making a comeback using the hashtag MySwimPro. We'd love to see what you guys are doing, and leave a comment with some tips on how you got back into swimming. And
that's all we have for this episode of Ask a Swim Pro show. Ferris and Paige in the studio. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.